Hello everyone. Now you will hear a brief recap of the movie She Rides Shotgun. Young Polly is waiting to be picked up after school, but today her mother is running later than usual. Suddenly, a creepy bald man with tattoos on his face pulls up in a car. It's Polly's father. He has just been released from prison. Nate tells his daughter to get into the car quickly. The car, judging by everything, is stolen. Polly realizes something is wrong. The girl notices a police car and tries to run away, but her father asks her to calm down. Polly thinks that Nate robbed their house because he's wearing her stepfather's jacket, and he pulls a suitcase out of the trunk. Father and daughter stop at a motel. The news reports a shocking double murder. Nate calls his friends, hoping for help, but everyone turns him down. That same evening, the man cuts the girl's hair and dyes it blonde. Polly actually likes it. Then Nate starts teaching his daughter how to use a bat. You need to strike your opponent on the knee, then on the back of the head, not the forehead. Polly must beware of people with a blue lightning tattoo. Nate had a falling out with them while he was in prison. In the morning, Polly learns that her mother and stepfather were killed, and the main suspect is her father, a member of the Aryan Steel gang. The police also believe he kidnapped his daughter. Polly immediately runs to the reception desk and dials the number she saw on TV. Detective John Park answers. He asks the girl to tell him where they are. The police will head there right away. Nate finds his daughter just as she tells the detective the name of the motel, and she immediately regrets it. They need to leave urgently. Police sirens are heard. Nate and his daughter run through backyards and hide in a parking lot. The bad man who killed her mother is now looking for Polly to finish her off as well. Nate gives his daughter a bat and asks her to show him her swing. Polly smashes a car window, and they immediately steal it. Nate goes to his ex-lover Charlotte, who is not exactly happy to see them. Nate is being hunted not only by the police, Aryans are after him too. He needs at least a few $1,000s to escape to Mexico, and Charlotte promises to help. Before getting out of prison, Nate killed the leader of the Aryans, so now he is target number 1 for the skinheads. John Park hopes Nate will help them locate a drug lab. These guys are the largest producers of methamphetamine. However, his partner wants nothing to do with it, not even with a 10-foot pole. In the morning, Charlotte's creepy boyfriend Felix shows up. The girl betrayed Nate, and Polly noticed those same blue lightning tattoos on Felix's hand. The girl understood everything and ran into the house. Felix began forcing his way into her room. At that moment, Nate was in the shower and seemed to hear nothing, but it was a trick. He suddenly attacked the criminal, and a fight broke out between them. The bearded man pulled out a knife and was about to kill Nate, but Nate drove the blade into Felix's leg instead. Charlotte first lied, saying Felix had brought the money, but then admitted she had been forced to choose a side. A certain god of Slaptown, feared by everyone, had put a hit on Nate. Nate flipped over a grill and burned Felix's face on the hot coals. That's what will happen to anyone who comes after him. At a cafe, Nate assessed their chances with Polly. The family needs money, and the only fast way to get it is to rob a store. Nate told his daughter to stay in the car, while he went into a market with a gun and a balaclava pulled over his face. A terrified woman began emptying the cash register. At that moment, some cowboy pulled up to the store. He spotted the robber and grabbed a gun from his car. Polly started honking the horn, warning her father of the danger. The cowboy opened fire. Nate knocked the man to the ground, but he still managed to wound him. Then Nate was hit by a car. He hid behind another vehicle and started shooting back. Finally, Nate made it to his car and drove away. The cowboy kept firing and nearly hit Polly. Speeding away, Nate immediately drew the attention of the police. He drove into oncoming traffic, once again putting his daughter in danger. A police officer performed a maneuver and stopped the criminal's car, but Nate reversed and continued driving. The officer kept chasing them until he crashed. Only then did Nate realize he had been shot in the leg. The criminal took shelter in a church and sent his daughter to a pharmacy. She would have to help treat his wound. Nate decided to leave the bullet in his leg. They wouldn't remove it. Polly cleaned the blood with hydrogen peroxide and wrapped the wound with a bandage. She also bought her father new clothes and went to throw the old ones away. Near a dumpster, Polly encountered a police officer who pointed a gun at her. Luckily, Nate arrived just in time. The cop claimed this was Aryan Steel territory and that they wouldn't survive. Those could have been his last words, but suddenly Polly fired the gun and stopped her father from killing the man. Nate told his daughter to return to the church while he questioned the officer. After some time, he came back and said that the man had apologized and run away. John Park contacted the local sheriff, Hauser, who claimed there was no Aryan Steel presence in their area. One of his officers had checked the church the previous day after reports of gunshots but found no escaped criminal there. Later, Park discovered that same officer's body inside a dumpster, with a lightning bolt tattoo on his arm. That made everything clear about the sheriff. The detective tracked the patrol car. The father and daughter had abandoned it by the roadside and continued on foot through the desert. A policeman caught up with them and ordered Nate to lower his weapon. He just wanted to talk. John knew that Nate had been forced to accept protection from the Aryans in prison, and that things turned rough when he tried to leave them. He offered Nate a deal. He would cover for him if Nate helped take down the largest drug lab. There were rumors about a so-called god of Slaptown. His real name was Hauser. Sheriff Hauser. Hauser returned to his domain, a trailer town called Slaptown. A rival from a Mexican gang was hanging on a chain. He knew the courier had heroin pellets inside him, but there was no time to wait, so the sheriff changed clothes and cut the man open. Polly didn't like being blackmailed by a crooked cop, but they had no other choice. Besides, Nate believed John would take care of his daughter if anything happened to him. John handed Nate a gun and 2 magazines. He needed him to take out Hauser. Nate had to make it look like an internal conflict. The cop wouldn't help him directly. Polly burst into tears, realizing she might never see her father again. She ran outside after the car. John stayed behind at the motel to watch over her. She locked herself in the bathroom when someone knocked on the door. It was Jimmy, the detective's partner. The nervous cop asked John to put his gun away. Apparently, the Aryans had sent him. Jimmy admitted he didn't like those skinheads himself, but he wasn't willing to go against people like them. Polly sensed something was wrong and prepared to escape through the bathroom window. Jimmy had planted a bug in his partner's car, so the Aryans already knew Nate was on his way. At that moment, Polly slipped and fell. Jimmy got distracted, and a struggle broke out between the two cops. They both opened fire and wounded each other. Polly hid in the bathroom. When the shooting stopped, John opened the door. He had killed his partner. Meanwhile, Nate reached Slaptown. He was already expected there and quickly surrounded from all sides. He had to hide inside one of the trailers. The sheriff advised him to simply surrender. One of the gunmen entered the trailer, and Nate immediately took him out. In response, they opened fire on him from a dozen guns. The man pressed himself to the floor, then tried to climb through the trailer, but they dragged him out and kicked him brutally. Hauser ordered Nate to be hung on chains. The sheriff intends to torture Nate until he tells everything he knows about Detective Park. If necessary, he'll hang Polly there as well. The sheriff heard police sirens. John hadn't wasted any time. He called for backup, and the Aryan base was surrounded by Spetsnaz forces. Hauser had no choice but to come out and surrender. But suddenly, he pulled out a weapon and opened fire. The police immediately launched an assault. Meanwhile, Polly ran off to find her father. The skinheads put up serious resistance and took down many officers. The girl risked catching a stray bullet, but saving her father mattered more to her. A dog blocked her path, but Polly sacrificed her favorite toy to distract it and reached the building unharmed. The Spetsnaz suppressed the resistance, and the surviving Aryans were forced to flee. Polly finally found her father and freed him. Unfortunately, Nate was too weak and couldn't stand up. Suddenly, Hauser burst in and shot Nate. Polly, just as her father had taught her, struck the sheriff with a bat, first to the knee, then to the head. But it wasn't enough. The brute beat Nate and took his daughter hostage. John ordered his men to lower their weapons. Hauser started ranting again about being a god who couldn't be killed. Then Nate grabbed a file and drove it into Hauser's neck. The sheriff pointed his gun at the officers, and they shot him, along with Nate. The man died before his daughter's eyes. As promised, John took care of Polly. He found her a place in a good family-style shelter. The girl was traumatized for life, but she would have to find a way to keep living.